I want to commend you for your work. Mr. Combs, in your testimony, you talked about that the firms who had gained fraudulent access to the Hubzones, when you had the conversation and confronted them, what was their response?
I'll let Mr. Casso answer that because he was in on a lot of the interviews.
Okay, yes, sir.
In many cases, they were sort of, well, this is how the game is played. They didn't seem to have any fear, if you will, of any consequences, whether it was prosecution or suspension or debarment. It's easy to get in the program. There's lots of money that's out there, and nobody's going to come after me. So,
well, Mr. Kranz, if you suspend someone or debar someone, the debarment is what, a 1 year? Suspension could be a 1 year?
Suspension is typically 12 months, can be extended for 6 months, and can actually be extended beyond that for various reasons. They both have the same effect.
Okay.
Debarment, the typical is 3 years. However, the suspension and debarment official has the prerogative, based on the gravity of the circumstances, to make it longer than that. Okay. But the effect of suspension and debarment is the same. It precludes that entity from doing business with the federal government and contracting, receiving federal loans, receiving federal grants, or any other federal monies.
And that's what I understand that you've looked at as doing these suspension and debarments.
Yes.
Will the SBA go after criminal indictment of these 10 people? Because I've not heard you say anything about criminal indictment yet.
Yes.
And would they actually go criminally after these folks?
Congressman Shuler, once we assess the severity of the issues, our immediate action would be to follow the same pattern we did with the firm in Kentucky, which was not heard in court, and it wasn't strictly a suspension or a debarment. It was prosecution. So he'll have his day in court, and that's what we expect to do with not only those 10 companies or other companies that we may come across. We're very determined, focused, and working through that as soon as we have the list of the companies.
If we're looking at just these 10 companies, what was the amount of contracts, dollars?
In 06 and 07, the amount of federal contracting they received, obligations now, was $105 million. One of the companies had a $40 million Hubzone set-aside contract. That's the ceiling amount. They haven't been, that much money has not been obligated yet. We estimated something over $24 million of that 105 was in actual Hubzone type of contracts. But many, many companies get a Hubzone certification, and then they may or may not get a Hubzone prime contract. They may be getting subcontracts using that certification, or it may make them more attractive to contracting officers because, as you may know, companies that have multiple certifications that receive a contract get credit against those in each individual entity for the small business goaling requirements.
So theoretically, we could be talking billions of dollars in fraud.
Theoretically, yes.
That's our tax dollars. And Madam Chair, the SBA, the former director, the good thing about the SBA, he's no longer with the SBA, correct? The former administrator
has been assigned to as Secretary of HUD.
So he's with HUD now,
yes.
Correct? And with our housing crisis that we have, now he's administrating HUD. So we're talking about a guy that's essentially the lack of oversight of billions of dollars, and now he's with HUD in our housing crisis that we have now. Madam Chair, I think there needs to be extensive and more investigation going on, because this is our tax dollars. These are people that are hard paying tax dollars that are going to these programs, and we've got a crisis on our hands. And I want to thank you and the ranking member for having this hearing and the good work that the whole committee and the staff has done. And I yield back.